Jake Miller's boots hit the pavement outside the Austin fire station, the midday sun blazing down on his neck. At 38, he'd spent half his life running into burning buildings, saving strangers, and earning the trust of his tight-knit community. Today, though a rare scheduling screw-up, his captain mixing up shift rotations, gave him an unexpected afternoon off. Jake saw it as a chance, a small window to fix something personal. His marriage to Lisa had been fraying, her quick smiles replaced by curt replies and half-hearted hugs. He missed the warmth they used to share, the late-night talks over coffee. Maybe a simple gesture could pull them back together. He swung by Sweet Pecan Bakery, Lisa's favorite spot, and grabbed a pecan pie, its buttery crust still warm. The plan was straightforward: head home, cook dinner, and spend the evening just the two of them, like old times. Their daughter, Mia, 16 and full of creative energy, was at an art workshop until late. It was the perfect opportunity to reconnect. Jake's truck rumbled down the familiar streets of East Austin, the radio humming a country tune he barely heard. His mind was on Lisa, on the distance that had grown between them, and on the hope that a quiet night might close it. Pulling into the driveway, Jake noticed nothing out of the ordinary. The house was still, the usual neighborhood buzz of lawnmowers and kids playing basketball faint in the background. He grabbed the pie box and climbed the porch steps, the key turning smoothly in the lock. Inside, the living room was quiet, sunlight filtering through the blinds. He set the pie on the kitchen counter and called out, "Lisa? You home?" No answer. Odd, but not alarming. She could be napping or out back. Then he heard it, a muffled laugh, light and unfamiliar, drifting from the upstairs bedroom. Jake froze, his pulse ticking up. Lisa rarely laughed like that anymore, not with him. His boots were silent on the carpeted stairs, each step deliberate. At the top, the laugh came again, sharper, followed by a low murmur. His hand hovered over the bedroom doorknob, a knot tightening in his gut. He turned it slowly, pushing the door open. The sight hit him like a backdraft. Lisa, tangled in the sheets, her arms around a man Jake recognized instantly, Ethan Carter, Austin's golden boy chef, his face plastered on every food truck ad and local TV commercial. The man Lisa called a culinary genius was now in their bed, the one Jake and Lisa had shared for 15 years. Time slowed. Lisa's eyes widened, her mouth opening in a silent gasp. Ethan scrambled, yanking the sheet to cover himself, his face a mix of panic and confusion. Jake's hand moved on instinct, pulling his phone from his pocket. He hit record, the camera steady despite the tremor in his fingers. "Jake, stop!" Lisa's voice cracked as she clutched the sheet, shielding herself. Ethan, mumbling something incoherent, fumbled for his clothes on the floor. Jake didn't yell. Didn't lunge. His voice cut through the air, low and controlled. "Get out of my house! Now!" Ethan stumbled backward, nearly tripping as he pulled on his jeans. "Look, man, I didn't..." He started, but Jake stepped closer, his 6'2" frame towering, eyes burning. "I said now." Ethan grabbed his shirt, still inside out, and bolted down the hall, the front door slamming behind him. Jake turned to Lisa, who sat frozen on the edge of the bed, her face pale. "How long?" he asked, his voice steady but laced with fury. She stammered, "It was a mistake, Jake. You're always at work." I felt alone. Her words were flimsy, excuses that crumbled under the weight of what he'd just seen. Jake didn't respond. He pocketed his phone, the video still saved, and walked out. The fire station was his refuge, a place where chaos made sense. He drove there, the pecan pie forgotten on the counter. At the station, he claimed a bunk in the rest quarters, the small room bare but functional. His phone buzzed, Lisa's name flashing with texts he didn't open. He sat on the edge of the cot, staring at the floor. His mind replayed the scene, Ethan's face, Lisa's betrayal. But another thought cut deeper, Mia. How would he tell his daughter, his closest ally, that their family was fracturing? Jake leaned back, exhaling. He wasn't running from this. He'd faced worse, collapsing roofs, raging fires, but this was personal, a blaze in his own home. Tomorrow, he'd call a lawyer. Tonight, he needed to breathe, to plan. The video was proof, a weapon he hadn't decided how to use. One thing was clear, Lisa's choice had consequences, and Jake would face them with the same resolve he brought to every emergency. This was just the beginning. Jake Miller sat in his truck outside the Austin Fire Station, the engine still ticking as it cooled. The night before, he'd walked in on his wife, Lisa, with Ethan Carter, a celebrity chef, in their own bedroom. The image was seared into his mind, but he'd kept his cool, recorded the betrayal, and left without a fight. Now, at the station's rest quarters, he lay on a narrow cot, staring at the ceiling. Sleep hadn't come. His phone buzzed relentlessly, Lisa's texts piling up, each one unanswered. He needed space, a plan, and a way to protect his daughter, Mia, from the fallout. By morning, Jake was up, splashing water on his face from the station's sink. His shift didn't start for hours, so he drove to a diner near Zilker Park, a spot he and Mia used to visit for pancakes when she was younger. He texted her, "Meet me at Rusty's 10 a.m. We need to talk." Mia, 16 and sharp as a tack, was at her art workshop but replied quickly, "Okay, Dad. Be there." Jake ordered coffee, the mug warm in his hands, and waited. His mind churned. How do you tell your kid her mom broke their family? Mia walked in, her backpack slung over one shoulder, her usual spark dimmed by curiosity. She slid into the booth across from him. "What's going on, Dad? You look wrecked." Jake took a breath, keeping his voice steady. "Mia, I came home early yesterday and found your mom with someone else. A guy named Ethan Carter." He didn't sugarcoat it but skipped the graphic details. Mia's eyes widened, her hands gripping the table. "The chef guy? From TV?" Jake nodded. "I'm not going back home right now. I need time to figure this out." Mia's voice shook. "Why would she do that?" Jake leaned forward, his tone gentle but firm. "I don't know, kid. But this isn't your fault, and I'm here for you." Then Mia dropped a bomb. "Dad, I need to tell you something." She hesitated, pulling out her phone. "I've been seeing someone. Tyler Carter. He's Ethan's son." Jake's stomach twisted. His daughter, dating the son of the man who'd shattered their lives. He kept his face neutral, though his pulse raced. "How long?" he asked. "A few months," she said, voice small. "I didn't tell you or Mom because he's 18, and I thought you'd freak out." Jake exhaled, forcing calm. "Mia, I'm not mad at you. Tyler's not his dad. But I need you to be honest with me, okay? Does he know about his dad and your mom?" Mia shook her head. "I don't think so. We don't talk about our parents much." Jake nodded, his mind already shifting gears. He hugged her, promising to keep things separate, but the coincidence gnawed at him. Ethan Carter wasn't just a homewrecker, he was a thread woven deeper into their lives. Back at the station, Jake's captain, noticing his distraction, pulled him aside. "You good, Miller?" Jake gave a tight nod, mentioning he'd need the rest quarters for a while. The captain didn't pry, just clapped his shoulder and approved it. Jake sat at a desk, replaying the video he'd recorded. Ethan's panic scramble, Lisa's weak excuses, it was all there, undeniable. He saved the file to a secure cloud drive and called a lawyer, Sarah Vega, recommended by a buddy from the station. Over the phone, he explained the situation, keeping it factual. "I've got proof," he said. "Video. I want to move forward with the divorce." Sarah's voice was calm, professional. "Send me what you have. We'll meet tomorrow." That evening, Jake couldn't shake the unease about Ethan. The guy was too slick, too polished, a public figure with a chain of restaurants and a TV persona. Something felt off. On a hunch, Jake contacted a private investigator, Mike Delgado, a former cop he'd met during a fire rescue years ago. Over coffee at a gas station lot, Jake laid it out, Ethan's affair, his fame, his restaurants. "I don't trust him," Jake said. "Can you dig into his business? Finances, anything shady? Be discreet." Mike nodded, jotting notes. "Give me a week. If there's dirt, I'll find it." Days passed, and Jake threw himself into work, hauling hoses, checking gear, running drills. It kept his mind off Lisa's texts, now a mix of apologies and deflections. He didn't respond. Mia, meanwhile, grew quieter, her usual chatter replaced by one-word replies. Jake gave her space but checked in daily, sending texts like, "You okay? Here when you need me." She'd respond with a thumbs-up emoji, nothing more. It stung, but he knew she was processing her own pain. Late one night, Mike called. Got something. Carter's restaurants are a front. He's moving money through shell companies, underreporting income to the tune of millions. Fake suppliers, offshore accounts, the works. Jake's jaw tightened. You got proof? Mike sent a file, bank statements, invoices, tax records with glaring discrepancies. It's enough to get the IRS interested, Mike said. Jake leaned back, the weight of the discovery settling in. Ethan wasn't just a cheat, he was a criminal. And Jake had the leverage to bring him down. Jake Miller gripped the steering wheel outside the Austin fire station, the early morning air heavy with the promise of another Texas scorcher. Days had passed since he'd uncovered Lisa's affair with Ethan Carter, the celebrity chef, and learned his daughter, Mia, was dating Ethan's son, Tyler. The private investigator's report still burned in his mind. Ethan's restaurants were a front for tax evasion, millions hidden through fake suppliers. Jake had proof, not just of the betrayal, but of a crime. Now, it was time to act. He met his lawyer, Sarah Vega, at her downtown office. She reviewed the video of Lisa and Ethan, her expression unreadable. This is solid for the divorce, she said, tapping her pen. Adultery's clear. What's your goal here? Jake leaned forward, voice steady. I want a clean split. Protect my rights, especially with Mia. And I've got something else. Ethan's into some shady financial stuff. He slid a USB drive with the investigator's files across the desk. Sarah raised an eyebrow. This isn't family law. You sure about this? Jake nodded. It's not revenge. It's accountability. Sarah agreed to handle the divorce and advised discretion with the financial evidence. Jake left, his next stop a quiet meeting with an old high school friend, Carla, now an IRS agent. Over coffee at a corner shop, he handed her a folder with Mike's findings, bank records, invoices, and shell company details. No names, no favors, Jake said. Just look into it. Carla scanned the pages, her eyes narrowing. This is big. I'll pass it up the chain. Jake thanked her and left, feeling the first spark of control since the betrayal. Back at the station, Jake threw himself into his shift, hauling equipment and running training drills. The routine grounded him, but Mia's silence weighed heavier each day. She'd barely texted since their diner talk, her responses limited to emojis or, I'm fine. He knew she was caught in the middle, hurt by her mom, confused about Tyler. That evening, he drove to her art workshop's gallery night, hoping to bridge the gap. Mia's paintings lined the walls, vibrant abstracts that screamed her talent. She spotted him, gave a small wave, but stayed with her friends. Jake didn't push, just clapped when her work won a student award. Later, Mia approached him outside. Thanks for coming, Dad. Her voice was soft, guarded. Jake nodded. Always, kid. You okay with everything? She shrugged, eyes on the ground. Tyler's been weird since I told him about Mom and his dad. He hasn't texted back. Jake's chest tightened, but he kept his tone even. Give him time. This isn't on you. Mia nodded, then hugged him quick before heading back inside. It was progress, small but real. The next morning, Jake's phone buzzed with a news alert. Local chef Ethan Carter under IRS investigation for tax fraud. His pulse quickened. The article mentioned discrepancies in Carter's restaurant finances, with audits underway. Jake didn't smile, but the weight on his shoulders lightened. He hadn't leaked anything. Carla's team had moved fast. Ethan's polished image was cracking, his TV appearances cancelled, his restaurants under scrutiny. Social media buzzed with speculation, some calling it a fall from grace. Lisa called that afternoon, her voice shaky. Jake, did you do this? The news about Ethan? He stayed calm. I don't control the IRS, Lisa. People face consequences for what they do. She stammered. This is ruining everything. Mia's upset, she's not talking to me. Jake cut her off. Then talk to her, not me. He hung up, his focus back on Mia. He texted her, saw your art last night. Proud of you. Here when you need me. No reply, but he didn't expect one yet. At the station, Jake's captain pulled him aside. Heard about Carter. You mixed up in this? Jake shook his head. Just doing my job here. The captain grunted, letting it go. That night, Jake met Mike, the investigator, at a dive bar. You stirred a hornet's nest, Mike said, sliding over a beer. Carter's investors are pulling out. He's lawyering up. Jake sipped unfazed. He made his choices. Mike leaned in. There's more. Carter's been meeting with some shady types, offshore accounts may be worse. Want me to keep digging? Jake hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, but stay clean. Nothing illegal. As Jake drove back to the station's rest quarters, his phone lit up with a text from Mia. Can we talk tomorrow? Alone? His heart lifted. He replied, named the time and place. The road ahead was still messy. Lisa's betrayal, Mia's pain, Tyler's connection, but Jake felt the ground steadying beneath him. Ethan's empire was unraveling, and while Jake hadn't thrown the first punch, he'd set the dominoes falling. For Mia, for himself, he'd keep pushing forward, one calculated step at a time. Jake Miller leaned against his truck outside the Austin fire station, the morning sun climbing over the city. The past weeks had been a storm, catching his wife, Lisa, with celebrity chef Ethan Carter, learning his daughter Mia was dating Ethan's son, Tyler, and uncovering Ethan's tax evasion through a private investigator. The IRS was now dismantling Ethan's restaurant empire, with news outlets buzzing about his financial crimes. Jake had sparked it all, quietly passing evidence to a friend at the IRS. But the fallout was hitting closer to home. Mia was slipping away, caught in the crossfire of her parents' collapse. Jake's phone buzzed with a text from Mia. Meet me at Zoka Park, 11 a.m. He'd been waiting for this since her hesitant message the night before. At the park, he found her on a bench by the river, sketching in a notebook. She looked up, her eyes tired but softer than they'd been in days. Hey, Dad, she said, closing the book. Jake sat beside her, keeping his voice steady. You wanted to talk? Mia nodded, picking at her nails. Mom's a mess. She keeps saying you're out to ruin her. And Tyler, he ghosted me. After the news about his dad, he just stopped replying. Jake's jaw tightened, but he focused on Mia. I'm not trying to hurt your mom. She made a choice, and I'm dealing with mine. As for Tyler, that's his call. You don't deserve to be caught in this. Mia's voice cracked. I thought he cared about me. Now I don't know what's real. Jake put a hand on her shoulder. You're real. Your art, your heart, that's what matters. I'm here, no matter what. She leaned into him, a rare moment of closeness. I just want things to make sense again, she whispered. Jake nodded, knowing sense was a long way off. Back at the station, Jake's lawyer, Sarah Vega, called with updates. Divorce papers are ready. Lisa's lawyer wants to settle quietly, but the video you recorded, it's leverage. She knows it. Jake exhaled. Good. Keep it clean, and make sure Mia's taken care of. Sarah paused. There's chatter about Ethan. His legal team's trying to pin the fraud on a fall guy, but the IRS has hard evidence. Your tip started a domino effect. Jake didn't respond. He didn't need credit, just results. The news cycle exploded that afternoon. Ethan Carter's face was everywhere. His restaurants shuttered for audits. A local blog leaked details, fake invoices, offshore accounts, millions siphoned. His sponsors dropped him, and a major investor pulled funding from his flagship location. Jake scrolled through the headlines at the station, his crew muttering about the scandal. Guy thought he was untouchable, one firefighter said. Jake stayed quiet, his focus on the bigger picture, Mia's trust and his own future. Lisa tried calling again, leaving a voicemail Jake didn't play. Instead, he checked in with Mike, the private investigator, at a taco truck off South Congress. Mike slid a folder across the table. Carter's in deeper than we thought. He's tied to some sketchy investors, guys with records for money laundering. Nothing solid yet, but I'm close. Jake frowned. Keep it legal, Mike. I want him buried by the truth, not shortcuts. Mike nodded. Got it. IRS is already tightening the noose. Mia's distance grew again after their park talk. She stopped by the station once, dropping off a sketch she'd drawn of Jake's truck, a peace offering maybe. He pinned it to his locker, a reminder of what he was fighting for. But her texts were sparse, and when he attended her next art show, she kept conversations short, her eyes darting away. Jake sensed Lisa's influence, her attempts to sway Mia with half-truths about Jake's obsession with Ethan's downfall. He didn't bite, just kept showing up for Mia, steady as ever. One evening, Jake got a call from Carla, his IRS contact. "It's moving fast," she said. "Carter's facing charges, tax evasion, fraud, the works. He's lawyered up, but the evidence is airtight. Your folder was the spark." Jake thanked her, feeling a quiet satisfaction. Ethan's arrest hit the news the next day, his mugshot splashed across screens. Jake watched from the station's break room, his crew glued to the TV. "Big shot chef, huh? Done for," a coworker snorted. Jake stayed silent, but the weight of justice felt real. Mia texted that night, "Saw the news. Is this because of you?" Jake replied, "I gave the truth a push. That's all. You okay?" She didn't respond. Lisa, meanwhile, was unraveling. A coworker of hers had texted Jake, saying she'd taken leave from her job, humiliated by the public scandal tied to Ethan. Jake felt no pity. Her choices had led here. But Mia's silence cut deeper than Lisa's fall. He drove to her school, waiting outside until she emerged. "Mia, I'm not the bad guy here," he said, keeping his tone calm. "I'm protecting us. You don't have to choose sides, but I need you to know I'm fighting for you." She nodded, eyes down, then walked away. Jake returned to the station, the cot in the rest quarters his temporary home. Ethan's arrest was a win, but the cost was clear. Mia's trust was fraying, and Lisa's betrayal had fractured their family. Jake wasn't done, though. He'd see the divorce through, keep supporting Mia, and let the law handle Ethan. The fire in his chest wasn't rage anymore, it was resolve, burning steady and unyielding. Jake Miller stood outside the Austin courthouse, the late summer heat pressing against his skin. Months had passed since he'd caught his wife, Lisa, with Ethan Carter, the celebrity chef now facing prison for tax evasion. Jake's quiet tip to the IRS had unraveled Ethan's empire, but the cost was steep. Mia, his 16-year-old daughter, was caught in the emotional wreckage, her trust shaken by her mother's betrayal and her boyfriend Tyler's disappearance. The divorce was nearing its end, and Jake was ready to close this chapter, but rebuilding with Mia was his true fight. The final divorce hearing was brisk. Jake's lawyer, Sarah Vega, presented the video of Lisa's affair, alongside financial records showing Jake's steady support for Mia. Lisa's lawyer pushed for leniency, citing her emotional distress, but the judge was unmoved. The ruling came down. Jake got primary custody of Mia, with Lisa granted supervised visits until Mia turned 18. The house went to Jake, though he had no plans to return there. As they left the courtroom, Lisa tried to speak, her voice low. "Jake, I'm sorry." He met her eyes, unflinching. "It's done." He walked away, the weight of the marriage lifting but the ache for Mia lingering. Ethan's legal troubles dominated the news. His guilty plea to tax evasion and fraud made headlines, with a sentence of 5 years and hefty fines. His restaurants were sold off to cover debts, his TV career dead. Jake followed the updates from the fire station's break room, his crew joking about the fallen chef. He didn't join in. Justice was served, but it didn't erase the damage to his daughter. Mia had stopped mentioning Tyler, Ethan's son, who'd cut contact after his father's arrest. Jake respected her silence but felt the gap widening between them. He moved out of the station's rest quarters into a small apartment near downtown Austin, a practical space close to Mia's school. He kept her sketch of his truck on the fridge, a reminder of their bond. Mia visited occasionally, her visits polite but brief. Lisa, meanwhile, tried to win Mia back with gifts and calls, but Mia rebuffed her, still stung by the betrayal. Jake stayed steady, attending Mia's art shows and texting her about her day, even when her replies were curt. "I'm not giving up on you," he told her during one visit. She nodded, but her eyes stayed distant. One Saturday, Jake volunteered at a community pet adoption event, hauling crates for a local shelter. There, he met Emily, a veterinarian in her early 40s, organizing the event. Their conversation was easy, talk of rescue dogs, long work hours, and life's unexpected turns. Emily was divorced, with 2 teens of her own, and understood the grind of starting over. They exchanged numbers, meeting again at a food drive the next week. Jake didn't push, but their talks became a quiet anchor, a glimpse of something new. Mia's 17th birthday arrived, and she asked Jake to host a small dinner at his apartment. He invited Emily and her kids, hoping Mia would warm to them. The evening was simple: pizza, cake, and Mia's favorite playlist. Emily's son, 15, bonded with Mia over a shared love of sketching, while her daughter, 13, cracked jokes that made Mia smile. Jake watched from the kitchen, a cautious hope stirring. After the kids retreated to play video games, Mia pulled Jake aside. "Thanks for not making it weird with Emily," she said. "She's okay." Jake nodded, his throat tight. "I'm just trying to do right by you." Weeks later, Mia showed up unannounced at Jake's apartment, her sketchbook under her arm. "I broke up with Tyler," she said, sitting on the couch. "He texted once, said he was sorry, but I'm done." Jake listened, letting her lead. "Mom keeps calling, but I can't talk to her yet. She broke us." Jake leaned forward. "She broke what we had, not who we are. You're stronger than this, Mia. And I'm here." She hugged him, longer than she had in months, and left a new sketch, a portrait of them at Zilker Park. Jake and Emily grew closer, their bond built on shared volunteer work and late-night talks. Her kids started joining Jake and Mia for outings, movies, bowling, a Spurs game. Mia didn't call Emily Mom, but she laughed more, her guard lowering. One evening, at a charity run they'd all signed up for, Mia handed Jake a race bib she'd decorated with their names. "We're a team, right?" she asked. Jake grinned, ruffling her hair. "Always, kid." The scars of Lisa's betrayal and Ethan's crimes remained, but Jake found peace in the new rhythm, supporting Mia, building with Emily, showing up for his crew at the station. Justice hadn't been about vengeance. It was about protecting what mattered and carving out a future. As he locked up his apartment one night, Mia's laughter echoing from a call with Emily's son, Jake knew the fire was out. What grew now was something stronger, rooted in trust and time.